So, you want to learn how to play Neeko? Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Vegas. I'm a Diamond Neeko one-trick who plays her in the mid, jungle, and support roles. And today I'm going to teach you the basics of playing Neeko, as well as some fun tips and tricks. Now this is more of a beginner's video, just to go over her abilities and some fun, tricks, strats that I use. If you want like a full, in-depth, commentary guide on a game, I've got plenty of other videos like that on my channel, so go check them out. But let's get started. Now, Neeko's passive, Inherent Glamour. This allows her to disguise herself as allied champions using this bar at the bottom here above your items. And as you can see, it's filled with Cho'Gath, Twitch, Alistair, and Tryndamere. These are the champs that I've got in this game. And I can transform into them by just clicking, like that. But additionally, instead of clicking, you can actually keybind it, and you can switch a lot quicker. How do you keybind it? Go to your hotkeys, scroll down, abilities and summoner spells, scroll down to other, and where it says champion specific interaction, 1 through 5, that's what all of those are. And it just allows you to just change so much quicker than if you were to click them. There's also an empty slot here, and that is for transforming into things like minions. You can also change into jungle camps like the Scuttle Crab. Yeah, this works for blue buff, which you can dance with. Gromp, raptors, wolves. You can change into any jungle monster apart from the epic ones such as Dragon, Baron, Rift Herald. You can also change into the tiny, the little grubs. It doesn't stop there. You can also transform into wards. You can also change into jungle plants. And not only that, you can transform into champion-specific traps and pets, such as like a Neferi dog or a Yorick ghoul, a Teemo shroom. You can transform into all of these Shaco boxes, and it can really throw the enemy off. Now, how do you lose the transformation? If you use a damaging ability such as E, Q, or your ultimate, that will transform you back into Neeko. If I was to transform into a minion, and then attack a tower, that will transform me back into Neeko. However, if I transform into an allied champion and attack a tower, I will stay as that allied champion. The only other thing that will break a transformation is if I transform to an allied champion with extremely low health and I take a bit of damage, or if I get CC'd in any sort of way, like any root, stun, knock-up, suppression, displacement, all of that will transform me back into Neeko. Next, let's talk about Neeko's Q, Blooming Burst. Neeko throws a seed that blooms to deal magic damage. If it kills a unit or hits a champion or large monster, it will bloom again, dealing magic damage. Max 2 extra blooms. So if you just throw it on nothing, this is what it looks like. This is the range and the area of effect size. And if you throw it on an enemy champion, it will bloom up to 2 extra times, but only if they remain within the bloom. So if it hits an enemy champion and they move out, it'll only bloom 1 extra time. Now this is great for a number of things. Apart from dealing damage, you can see there's an enemy in this bush, but let's say we were scouting this bush and we didn't know if someone was in there. Just throwing our Q and seeing the bloom lets us know, okay, there's an enemy in this bush. And if you throw it in a bush without an enemy, you know it's safe. But it's also good for clearing minion waves. We see a minion with low health. Okay, I've got too much AP. There we go. If it kills a minion, it will bloom again, and you can use this to clear your minion waves just like that. Now, before I talk about Neeko's W, I'm actually going to talk about her E, Tangle Barbs. Now, her E is a root. You throw it like that, it'll root your enemy at level 2, it's 0.9 seconds, level 1's 0.7. But if your root hits something else, like a minion or another champion, it will become empowered, rooting the second target for twice as long. And you can see the projectile moves quicker, gets wider, and roots for longer. So you want to keep that in mind whenever you're looking to go for a root. Try and get behind the minion wave to try and like root the enemy champions for as long as possible, because that enables you to, you know, guarantee all 3 hits of your Q. So, you know, super easy basic combo would be E, Q, and auto attack to like proc your electrocute. Another fun fact about your E is you can buffer it with flash. So instead of, like, you know, if an enemy is running away, instead of flashing and then Eing, what you want to do is E and then flash. It's so much quicker. Reminder, flash E, slow, E flash, fast. This enables you to, like, you know, E flash and then hit a Q as well. Neeko's W, Shape Splitter. Firstly, this has a passive effect, which we'll talk about first. Every third auto attack will do magic damage, and it changes the animation. So 1, 2, and then on the third attack, you'll see Neeko's head like glows purple. It's less noticeable in some other skins, but you should know if you've played enough. And the next auto attack will look like this and does additional magic damage. This is great for last hitting. It's great for taking towers quickly on Neeko, but also, if you know you're gonna go for a trade, you want to try and save this up, kind of like a Jhin 4th shot, and then, you know, then you go for your E, your Q, and then auto for that extra damage. Now, Neeko's W active, when you press W, you will go invisible for, what was it, 0.25 seconds? 0.5 seconds, and then you also get move speed while sending out a clone. Now, this ability has an incredible amount of uses. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it all in this video, but you can, you know, use it for chasing down an enemy. You can use it for running away. You can use it for scouting vision. And you see the clone lasts 3 seconds, I think, but if you want it to last longer, what you can do is you can send out your clone, and then you can emote. If you emote, it'll last longer. The same with recalling. If you send out your clone, and then start recalling, it will copy your animation. And this baits so many enemies. If you, let's say you want to recall in lane, you hide in the bush, you start recalling, and I say a minion wave isn't there. Let's wait for the minion wave to go. Let's say your enemy gets back to lane, they see the clone, and they like might use like an ultimate or something on it. It happens so often. But there's more. You can change into an allied champion, and when you use your W, it'll send out a clone of that champion. It's an extra layer of mind tricks. Like, sure, people expect Neeko clones, but they expect, like, you know, like a Smolder clone way less, right? And again, you can do the same thing. You can send it out an emote to make it last longer. You can also send it out to recall. But wait, there's more. You can also get your clone to follow you. If you get it to emote and then pet move click on yourself, it will follow you, and this will help, you know, protect against abilities like a Blitzcrank Kirk or like a Hui ult or a Varus ult. So, by emoting and control clicking on yourself, you can get your clone to follow you, but you can also get your clone to follow enemies. Now, the timing to get it to follow enemies is a lot more niche. What you have to do is you have to send it out, control click the enemy, and then emote. But sometimes it doesn't always work. It's a very precise timing that you have to get. There we go. Most people don't know this. since you used to be able to send it to like enemy towers as well, but they patched that. So now you can only send it to enemies and yourself. Now, let's talk about Neeko's ultimate, Pop Blossom. After a delay, Neeko leaps into the air, knocking up all nearby enemies for 0.6 seconds. She then crashes down, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies and stunning them for 0.75 seconds. And it also says this ability can be prepared in secret if Neeko is disguised. So what that means, if I say I'm a Smolder and I use this ability, you see I don't switch from Smolder to Neeko instantly. It takes like a half a second. Now, I'm sure you've seen there is a lot of combos you can do with Neeko's ult. So, like, one thing, obviously, is the disguise. But you can see my items here. I've got Rocket Belt to give me extra distance if I want to catch people off guard. And then, additionally, you can add Flash into that as well. To get even more people. Now, I always advise, when ulting, to flash at the last second, or, you know, rocket belt at the last second, or both. Because that just gives your enemy less time to react. You know, obviously, if you do it straight away, they have, you know, another second to, like, react with their own flash, or dashes, or whatever. So you always want to make sure... Let the enemy know, let the enemy think they are safe. And then hit them like that. It also works with Zonias. So if you start charging it up and then hit your Zonias, the knock up and the stun will remain even if you hit your Zonias. You can also Zonias after. But Rocket Belt and Zonias are just great items on Neeko because of, you know, the shenanigans you can get into with your ult. Like a typical combo might look like an E, Q, ult. You can also cancel your Q animation with your ult. So if you ult, but just before you jump up, you can cancel your Q animation. You have to do it at the last second. And then you might have another Q back up in just a few seconds. So it's always better to try and get your EQ off before you ult, so you have it up again sooner, or try and get the animation cancel and then E, because after you ult, if the enemy has like tenacity, it can be hard to hit your E straight after like that. So it's best to do it before, but let's say you're not great at hitting E's, maybe just try and go for the ult and then go for your EQ. So now that you've seen Neeko's abilities and how they work, as well as some tips and tricks, here is some of them used in action. One of my favorite moves is to go for a lane gank as a minion, transforming into a melee minion at the beginning of the wave before the enemy has time to count them, and hit them with an EQ auto attack or an EQ ult, or go for the ult first. There's also plenty of shenanigans you can get with your W. You can juke enemies out by trying to trick them into which one is the real you. Neeko is a champion that has very simple, easy to learn abilities, but she's extremely hard to master. And there's so much fun and trickery you can have while playing Neeko, which is why she's one of my favorite champions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and check out some of my other Neeko videos. I have plenty on the channel, and with more to come. If there's anything specific you want to see, comment down below. But I've been Vegas, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.